In this video, I cover the 5 things you need to do in 2024 in order to 10x your business. We've helped literally 1,000 people plus start and scale their online businesses, and I found the 5 most important things that they are not doing, and then I'm going to tell you guys how to do right now, how to actually do it so that in 2024 we can put all of those New Year's resolutions to bed, and instead we can focus on an actual game plan to 10x and save your online business. So without further ado, let's dive in. If you like this video, if you want more of it like this every single week, please remember to smash that subscribe button. Let's dive in on the 5 things we can do this year right now to 10x your business in 2024. This video is going to be all about the 5 things you can do in 2024 to 10x your business in the next year. An actual plan and the 5 main core things that I think will make the biggest impact. So let's roll over here and get started. So again, these are the 5 things you need to do in 2024 to 10x your business. Starting with, in my opinion, 1 is get organized. What does that mean? Means start time blocking important tasks. No matter what, you need to have certain things you are going to be doing. One of those things is making sure that you're prospecting. You should be time blocking prospecting. You should be time blocking fulfillment. You should be time blocking everything. You know what? One of the number 1 things I hear from people who do not have a business and other people who do not have any money, I hate this, when people come to the GSD at the beginning and I say, everybody has 2 resources in life. You have time and you have money. And this is how I indicate, are we going to train you on organic marketing at the beginning, or are we going to help you launch some ads to kick ass? Which of those resources do you have? And they say to me, well, I don't really have either. And then I look at my spreadsheet and it says they're making $1,000 a month. And I look back at them and I say, well, then something's fucked. Something's not right. 9 times out of 10, it's that their day is not organized properly. They have 1 or 2 clients that they're being yes men to. They're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Every little thing that comes up. So a new email comes in, a new text from a client comes in, somebody responds to them on Messenger, and they are reactive instead of proactive to every little thing that's comes into their face, that comes around and starts to grab their attention. It wants your attention and you give it to them. And there's a concept that I tell everybody when I'm trying to get them to get off of this is really understanding the level of effort and mental energy it takes to stop doing one task and then move to another one and ramp back up to do that. If you're looking at your productivity, if you're looking at the way that you can maximize your hours in a day, that's the absolute worst thing you can do, is constantly be shifting and constantly being reactive. And the number 1 way to not be reactive to things is to time block inside your calendar and actually live by that. I've seen far too many people in the GSD and in our companies say, yeah, they're going to time. Like we had a setter manager a while back who used to tell me he would time block. He'd show me his calendar, but then he would just ignore it. He would completely ignore the time blocking. So how is that fucking helpful, right? It doesn't actually solve the problem. You can put things on your calendar, but when that little ding goes off, if you just flip your phone over, it doesn't help. We need to organize. The second part of getting organized is living by the 80-20 rule, which means 80% of your time, especially you guys right now who want to 10x their business, 80% of your time needs to be focused on revenue generation. For most of you, that means lead gen, calls, prospecting. Okay. Most of you right now, that means prospecting. Some of you that might be a little further along, it could mean doing marketing. It could mean ad campaigns, but something about this needs to be focused. You're a business owner. You need to be working on your business, not in it. A lot of that is, how do I grow my bottom line? 20% of your time then gets to go towards, let's go down here. There we go. 20% of your time now goes towards fulfillment. Okay. If most of you, I know most of you, hold on, I got to mute some people. Let's do this real quick. Good. Okay. This is the usual way people do it. And what it actually is you being unwilling to dive into the uncomfortable place, right? People make money when you're willing to get uncomfortable. What's an uncomfortable thing to do? Talk to strangers, call strangers, DM strangers, get told to screw off and not to talk to them by strangers, right? But if you're willing to understand the mathematical equation, which is if I send 10 DMs to strangers and 8 of them tell me to fuck off and 2 of them continue a good conversation, excuse my French, by the way, today, I've had too many coffees, then I actually have the end result, which is 2 people I can talk to that might turn into prospects, might turn into deals, and 8 strangers that don't like me who I was never going to talk to in the first place. It's leaning into that. Reversing this like you guys do when you're spending 80% of your time building the perfect funnel or talking to your clients or working on your client stuff. If you have a client paying you $500 a month or $1,000 a month or even $2,000 a month, and you're spending 4 hours a day fulfilling on them and talking to them and doing all that stuff, do you think the scales work out on that? No. You need to either create a productized offer or streamline your fulfillment process another way, because that is too much. So this is the organization process you need. 80-20 rule. 80% of your time needs to be organized through time blocking into prospecting, and 20% of your time can go and be organized into fulfillment. The second thing you need to do in 2024 to 10x your business is get focused. I have done a few free coaching sessions for a few people that wanted to have their businesses ripped apart. And for me to be entertainingly honest, that was the thing I told them I was going to do, because it's going to be on a YouTube episode. By the way, if anybody wants to join those YouTube episodes for some premieres and have some fun chats inside the comments, let me know in the comments underneath the video on Facebook, or just say, yes, please, in the chat. I'm going to be setting up a Telegram group for those videos specifically and for some other ones so that I can go and do the premiere live and talk to you guys and all that kind of stuff so we can have conversations. So I think it'll be kind of cool. And these 2 videos specifically are going to be really good. But my point on them is both of these guys that I did this for have been trying to launch an agency for over a year. Both of them were under $1,000 a month for that entire time. And most of it was the lack of focus on what they were actually even doing. What that means is they didn't know who they were talking to. They didn't know what their offer was. Because again, if you don't know who you're talking to, you have absolutely no idea how to make an offer. If I'm a digital marketing agency and I don't know who I'm talking to, my offer almost always becomes, I build websites for local businesses that are better than everybody else's websites. Or I run Facebook ads for small businesses and generate you leads and get you more clients. And I can also do PPC and SEO and all these other acronyms that, by the way, the other people don't know what the hell you're saying, right? It always ends up, and I can tell you this always without being too hyperbolic, because I've talked to hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands now at this point, agencies. And that's most of the time what they're doing when they don't know what their niche is. It always comes out the same, right? They're not focused on who they're delivering. And what does that lack of focus do? You'll see in these episodes that are coming up that the lack of focus actually leads to them having a whole bunch of stuff. Both of them had 3 different fully built out websites that say completely different things, talking to completely different people. One guy was doing coaches and he had a plumber's website and something else, completely different things, right? So you're making less than a couple $1,000s a month. You've built out all of these websites. You've built out all of these automations. You're paying for go high level. Your client isn't even one of those 2 types of clients because you're just talking to everybody. You don't have any social media. You don't have any kind of focused set schedule. And because of that, they've ended up stuck right where they are. They've ended up at under $1,000 a month profit for over a year of trying to do this. And they're not idiots. I talked to both of them for quite a while. You'll see they're both smart people. They both have the will. They seem to have the ability to go and get shit done, but they're just not focused in one direction. And they're doing a lot of what I tell you guys not to do, which is trying to be perfect somewhere to stop them from being great. They're focusing in on every new shiny object. They're like, oh, the plumber thing. Oh, I got to build out a whole website for it. Oh, I got to go build out this outreach script for it. Oh, maybe I'll have this fulfillment thing done for it. And by the time they've spent months building this perfect, quote unquote, perfect thing out, what have they done? They then go out and talk to a client, and guess what? The clients don't give a shit because they didn't test it first. They didn't figure that out. And so without that focus and without that understanding, it all falls apart. So what do I mean by focus again? It means focusing in on one type of client. It means focusing in on one offer. Okay, build your scary offer, understanding what that is. It means focusing your day to the 80-20 rule that we talked about above, right? Find your optimal selling strategy, right? And remember what we're talking about with optimal selling strategy. The first thing we do when we're doing prospecting is we find our optimal selling strategy. We go to see which platform and which messaging is resonating with our clients using our offer. And then we focus, which is the key to this number 2, on what that is. And then we just do that thing over and over again. If you've never read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, I reference it quite a bit. He talks a lot in that book about the flywheel. Now, it's not the flywheel we talk about in the GSD, where I'm talking about having a spot for everybody. It's a flywheel concept like in a giant factory, where it's a big ass like cement wheel, where it takes all your effort to push it, right? And what happens is eventually somebody walks into that room and they see you and they think you're like Superman. You know, you just push it one time and this giant ass wheel is spinning. But what they don't see is the 500 to 10,000 pushes, little pushes that got it to build up that momentum so that it could look so easy to get going in one direction. But if you don't have focus, what happens is you're grinding that thing to a halt. You're pulling it over in a new direction and you're starting the pushing process again every single time. And because you're constantly doing that year after year, month after month, what ends up happening is every push is always the hardest one. And you feel like you're never getting any momentum and you feel like you're never going in it because you're not sticking to one direction. You're not doing the thing that's hard to do, which is to just push in one direction, even if it's not as exciting to you as it once was. So focus is number 2. Let's talk about number 3. Build a community. So one of the biggest things that is a game changer to any business is creating a community. 2 types of communities I highly recommend. Facebook groups are still a gold mine. Every one of the last 3 7-figure businesses I've been a part of have all had a Facebook group that you could pull from. It is not the be all end all, as in it's not going to be the only thing you need, but I find it to be absolutely invaluable for nurturing people. Right? When we talk about the flywheel that I do teach in the GSD, right? Which is having a spot for everybody, meeting your clients where they are. The Facebook group, and now the second one I'm going to go over on YouTube channel, are the ones where it's free, where they get to know, like, and trust us. The second is the VIP, where we all are right now, where you get to know, like, and trust us, but start your investment journey and get a little bit more. Right. And then the third one is our inner circle, which is the higher ticket, get 24/7 support and access, get that kind of level that you need to move it forward. But having the community has been invaluable for that. Anyone who isn't ready to buy from the ad yet, make sure they get to the group. Anyone who doesn't buy yet from all of our different organic marketing, send them to the group. All of this stuff sends them here so that they can see our content we do all the time and start to become a part of our community and our family. The second part of a community, or the second version of a community I would suggest everybody start, is YouTube channels. I wish so much that I had started a YouTube channel back when I started a Facebook group, because it's really small. And I'm actually doing a video here soon on how we have monetized a small YouTube channel. So mine's only about 1,200 people. We've only really started making money from it over the last couple of months, and we've already cleared about 25,000 USD from those. And I'm doing a video on breaking down how we did that with a small YouTube channel, the different monetization methods that can go along with it, and how you could do it too. Right. But those 2 things here are the best types of community. You need in 2024, you need somewhere to nurture your people who don't buy yet. You need to have some sort of a flywheel in place so that if they're not ready to spend the high ticket money with you yet, they can go downsell. They can go see what you're all about somewhere else. Right. You don't want to be the guy that relies just on direct sales right away. I don't need to be chasing this every month. I need to be having a bucket that I can pull from in the future. Community is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I would put community over brand, especially when you're a younger business. I see so many of you guys, agencies, coaches, stuff that we've worked with over and over again, spend so much time on their logo design, on their branding. And I know this might sound kind of funny coming from a guy with a giant brand sign behind him. I get that. But this, I actually consider this a mistake in the beginning. You know how much easier it would have been to launch a coaching program for an agency had we called it $1 Million Agency Makers, right? Had we just said we're the agency launchers program. Get Shit Done doesn't say anything about agencies. Now it works really well because it works with our personality. We've built it over a few years. People buy just because of it. But that's not what you should be focused on in the beginning. I would say the community for us drove the brand to be something. The Facebook group, the being active in like high level and in the ClickFunnels groups, and then creating the VIP and the actual program, having those communities drove forward the concept of the GSD brand. The brand itself didn't do anything for us at first. It's a community that did it. And a lot of you guys spend too much time when you're a younger agency and you're just in the beginning parts focusing on the brand. You're like, I got to build the perfect logo. I got to make the perfect name, but nobody cares. It doesn't have any strength. It's almost be better to do the personal brand first and just have a community and then allow that community to become a brand on its own right. The fourth thing that we want to do in 2024 is take imperfect action. I've already touched on this point a couple of times. Okay. Most people let trying to be perfect stop them from being great. So what we're going to not do in 2024 is don't let trying to be perfect stop you from being great. The second thing on this is you're going to stop subconsciously, definitely know how you spell that, procrastinating. Okay. Might even be conscious. But most people, I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. We'll say, quote unquote, head tilt sarcastically. Most people don't know that they're procrastinating by doing this. But what you're doing is, and let me write this last part down because this kind of completes the thought process here, is you're subconsciously procrastinating to avoid doing the uncomfortable things. And so what you need to do is to lean into the uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay. So what I mean by subconsciously procrastinating, most of the time when people are doing stuff like trying to build the perfect funnel, when people are trying to go and shoot the VSL, or they want to build the perfect ad, or they're not ready to go talk to people yet because they don't have a website. By the way, we've had multiple 7 figures in revenue for businesses without ever having a website. I think the only reason we built the website for the GSD was because Rahul wanted one, or I think he wanted the store actually. So we started with the website to eventually get the store, but we didn't actually need it.
Yeah, what websites, like I'll just reiterate that. Like I started off as a graphic design company without having our own graphics. We didn't even have a logo. I started selling websites. I probably sold at least 200 websites, and I didn't even have a website for myself. So the whole motto behind this is focus on business growth, get clients. Those are just easy things to overcome. Those slow us down. I heard 2 people today say, oh, I need my agency website. I'm like, absolutely not. Your website's going to still get you the same objections. They're still not going to make you a great salesperson. That information can be now housed either on Facebook with a domain name, or it can just be a very simple one-click landing page. Business started, logo not needed, or AI your logo and you're done. Don't overthink stupid shit, right? You can rebrand later, like every business in the history of business has ever done, right? Like everything's changed except for maybe Nike, Microsoft, and Apple maybe, but the rest of them have all changed, right? It'll evolve. Keep it simple from your setup. Offer, traffic, sales, and then Cody.
Yeah.
Right. So the 4 things, and then Cody. Don't forget that part. If you don't have Cody, you may not be successful.
I mean, guys, this is that stuff. And it's so funny because when you rattle it off, I see you all shaking your heads. I see you all going, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But then you'll go off and you'll get some kind of shiny object syndrome and you'll procrastinate. And it'll come down to, hey, I really know that I'm supposed to send 50 messages today, tomorrow, the next day. But I'll just work on this website for a while, or I'll just work on this logo for a while, or my client just called me for this thing. right? And so you'll fall into that trap and you'll wait. You'll be like, you know what? Those messages will go off better if I have this perfect website. What if I get on, I cold call people and somebody's actually interested and they're like, send me details. I got to have those details ready. And you go down and down and down and down this path with wanting to avoid doing the uncomfortable thing. And I'll tell you the difference, and I've seen it many times in all the industries we work on, is the person who's successful isn't usually the smartest guy in the room. It's the one most willing to lean into that uncomfortable place, to do the shit that the other person doesn't want to do. You could be the smartest person in the room. You could have the best product ever. You could have the coolest service anyone's ever heard of. But if you're not willing to do that uncomfortable thing of going out on the internet and talking to people, or going out on the street and telling people about it, or talking to people with cold calling or messaging or ads, then no one's ever going to hear about it, and it will never make an impact, and it will never make you $1. In 2024, you need to be willing to lean into the uncomfortable shit in order to make money, in order to 10x your business. And then finally, Rahul's favorite topic: what do we need to do in 2024 to 10x your business? Sales above all else. You're going to notice what I've been talking about everywhere all the way down. What am I doing? Get organized on prospecting and fulfilling. 80-20 rule. 80% of your time needs to be focused on revenue generation. Focus on one client, get a niche, create a good offer. And then again, 80-20 rule, find your optimal selling strategy, build a community so that you can nurture people and sell them. Take imperfect action, lean into the uncomfortable. What does that mean? It means stop building shit and start selling shit. Number 5 is really an amalgamation of everything else I've just been telling you. It's the totality of the other 4 items, because at the end of the day, if you want to 10x your business, what do you got to do? You got to go and you got to sell more shit, which means let's do some math. Everybody loves it when Cody does math, right? Or is it just me? Do I just love doing the math? Am I the only one that likes doing the numbers, right? I want to 10x my business. So here's some math to do it. So say I have a 1K a month business like those guys did. Let's say, how do I get to 10x it? I got to get to 10K per month. Cool. What does that mean? Well, it means I got to, let's say, close a simple thing. So we've been teaching inside the GSD, price point between $500 and $1,000 a month usually can close between 48 hours and a week. That's what we see on average. Okay. So let's start with, let's say, $1,000 per month as a client. Really, really simple fulfillment model for this, right? You're closing them as, we'll say, DBR plus SaaS plus basic list building ad. Okay, so one campaign, and you're closing them at 1K per month for this. Really easy to do. Okay, cool. So we know what we're selling. We know how much it is. Now I got to 10x it. How do I do that, Cody? Well, you got to do by building an offer and then going out and saying, I need 10 clients. If we know on average, our stuff should be 60% show rate, 20% close rate, connected call close rate, 5% booking rate on organic. And we'll just say 5 to make it easy. Okay. So we need 10 clients means 50 showed calls means what? 5 is 10%. My brain's broken today, so we're going to do something I don't usually do, which was bring out a calculator. So this is 83 calls booked, and then do the same thing, which equals 1,666 outreach or leads. So you can do one or the other. So if your cost per lead is $10, you would need to spend $16,660 in ads, or you'd have to do 1,666 cold to warm, because you probably don't have hot yet, messages. And if you do that over the course of, let's say, 2 months, so if your timeline to 10x your business is 2 months, that's 30 basically messages or leads per day. You can 10x your business. Expand it from there and do this math yourself to be able to 10x your business. Does this make sense, guys? Who's with me on this, that thinks that they can take this and 10x their business, especially with that math that they just laid out. Drop a fire emoji in the chat. I think the one buttons must be broke by now.
I want to just kind of interject a little bit here and try to simplify this, because this is the time to get 83 book calls in a month. Some of you guys have never had 83 calls, period. All right. So the easier way to look at things is get that next one. Always focus on the next one. Just like a basketball player that misses a shot, the next one's going in. Now, when nobody knows who you are, you got no money, and you have all the time in the world, you have no choice but to go to the clients. Think about all the ways that anybody could get a client. You can walk into the businesses, you can call the businesses, you can DM them, you can Yelp them, you can Google My Business them, you can Facebook, Instagram. The whole platforms are right there with leads right in front of our faces. We just do the thing. We do the thing without thinking. The only thinking we have to do is, what's my offer and my identity? And then go just smash the shit out of these things. Like 50 on LinkedIn, 50 on Facebook, 50 on Instagram. You can probably technically do that in like 2 hours, right? Once you get organized, but it comes with that action, and that's 150 outreaches. Then flip the time block to like, I'm going to commit to 30 minutes of cold calling for the very first time. And instead of calling and hanging up on the people that answer, I'm going to call and say some words, right? I'm actually going to go through with the first cold call, then the second, then the third. Get to 10. Don't overwhelm yourself. Get to 1. Start with 1. Then get to 2, then 3, then 4, then ramp it up. Because at the end of the day, these are no longer called cold calls ever again. These are called ice, because I have something that your business needs, or in 3 years you will be out of business and the only advertising you'll be doing is business for sale, period. That's it. Look at data. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Why? Because you guys aren't fucking calling them. You're not selling them your marketing or your offers, your GHL stuff, whatever it is you do. So think of that for accountability. If you put that higher power above you, that it's your responsibility to not save a business, but just don't let them die intentionally because you just didn't have the tenacity to make that offer. It's very simple.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, so that's really, I'm not, this isn't a bar rescue in the sense of like you're going to die in a week or the business will fail because you're in $600 million in debt. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, these are simple systems that can literally, truly impact top line revenue right here, right now, today. If I did a DBR for the restaurant to 1,000 people, they're going to get another $3,500 to $5,000 this month, period. No matter what, I already know that it's going to happen. If I don't say a word and I just bite my tongue, I'm leaking them 5,000 marginal dollars in this economy that can crush their whole business in 12 months. That's $60,000. And that leads into 5-star reviews that can impact more people. It leads to corporate parties that they don't get because my people aren't coming back. It leads them to go to other restaurants or other locations. Same thing for the dentist office, the personal injury attorney, the divorce attorney, everything, right? So this can work for a lot of different industries, but that's kind of the mindset that we go in with is the offer works. We now have the confidence to make those connections, whether they're inbound or outbound. That's where sales, above all else, can be extremely effective. Once you believe in yourself, you believe in your product and your delivery, then it's game over. Then it's just a contact sport until you become the authority where people come to you. And that's really what we pitch and preach and talk about all the time. It can be that simple. The only way it's going to get difficult and become extremely hard is when your mind is telling you you're better than you are, and then you try to do 20 things at once, because a new agency will start with 10 different services. A committed, profitable agency has one, and then maybe gets 2, 3, 4, right? Then they get an ascension model. So if you start with the rich and the niche with the one offer, one industry, one price, you won't even be able to confuse yourself. You won't even have to tell the person who is interested, oh, let me go get you a proposal that you're never even going to write. So that's why it's so easy. The proposal, the template, the system, the repeatability, it's just so cookie cutter. You can slang these like crazy. Like the last thing I was going to say, if 2023 didn't work out the way you wanted it to, is now's the time to make the commitment to yourself and then go all in. And the all in is very simple. Keep it simple, because like when Cody things as resolutions, I was joking and I actually did make one. My only resolution was sleep better, go harder in the gym, be nicer and funnier. That was it. As far as the business stuff, I'm just going to do the same shit I did last year and just sprinkle some a little bit more fire on top of the same stuff and level up slightly. We're looking for progression, not perfection. And as long as our curve of revenue is going up, our happiness is going up, then we're just going to win no matter what. It's just inevitable. And yes, we're going to withstand some fucking shit storms. I already know that. Something bad's going to happen. We're just braced for it. So we don't give a fuck. We're going to have a shit month where we could lose money. Gives a fuck. The next month we'll just crush. Right. So it's just going to happen because it's called life. You just have to be prepared. It's already going to happen. And that's what Tony Robbins calls winter is coming. Something bad could happen, whether it's in your control and you caused it, or out of your control and the economy or an outside factor caused it. Once we're prepared, we just win because our mindset's enough, right? There's no victimization here. It's just opportunity, right? So that's it.
Thank you so much for spending the time to watch that amazing training. Like I mentioned previously, my intention is for you not just to watch that training, but if you got something out of it, if you think this information is useful, I want you to continue that journey with us. And you can do that in a couple of ways. One, I want you to smash that subscribe button so that you get notified every single time we put another one of these out, which will be at minimum once to twice per week. The other thing I want you to do is go ahead and click that next video right there beside you so that you can dive in and get shit done. Hope to see you out there.